Tonight on WTOP-10 Nightly News, Syracuse police are facing a decrease in the number of officers, how Halloween could be affected.
And new evidence coming into a case surrounding an Oswego murder last year.
Plus, information regarding options for SUNY Oswego students making plans for Thanksgiving break.
WTOP-10 Nightly News starts now.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Emma Seckner.
And I'm Nasir Meikle.
Applications are officially open for students interested in staying on campus during Thanksgiving break. Oswego's Residence Life and Housing sent out an email earlier today instructing students to submit their application through the housing portal in My Oswego. When submitting their application, students are asked to include a reason why they wish to stay on campus and to be aware that dining halls will not be open and that applications can't be rejected.
Along with residency options, SUNY Oswego will also be providing a Thanksgiving shuttle package for students. The package will have 3 departures on November 22nd, as well as 3 returning on Sunday, December 1st. Students can choose to be transported from Marano Campus Center to the Syracuse Airport and Regional Transportation Center. The formation of President Student Advisory Board, aka SAVI, announced having an inaugural meeting on the 21st of October. The newly established advisory board is committed to fostering an inclusive campus environment. SAVI was created on the principle of making excellence inclusive, with goals to bring a community of diverse perspectives, backgrounds, and identities to contribute to the mission. If you're interested in open communication, have a willingness to learn, and mutual respect, applications to join are in your school email or online on the school's website.
A $25,000 Constellation Leading Environmental Accelerators Network Award, or CLEAN Award, will help Rice Creek in their reforestation project. This grant will go towards paying interns and helping to pay for the price materials. Rice Creek's goal to replant trees that were heavily removed for lumber and shipbuilding, and by doing so will reverse the damage.
A judge ruled that a man accused of murder in Oswego must provide a DNA sample to authorities. Ricky Collin allegedly bludgeoned a woman to death in the city of Oswego last summer. Collin's lawyer noted that the prosecution's list of tests did not allow Collin the right against self-incrimination. The assistant district attorney agreed to testing limits. Collin is being charged with multiple charges that include murder and assault.
Residents of the Oswego City School District will head to the polls today to vote on their new capital project for the district. The $46.5 million capital project won't raise taxes for the district residents and will address the needs of every school in the district and the transportation system. So far, the board approved the passing of $37.4 million in bonds, which the district will get back in aid, and the other $9 million will empty a fund the board created in 2020. And those winter jackets could be going back in the closet for the spookiest night of the year.
Let's take our first forecast for the week with Storm Team 10 meteorologist Evan Biedron.
Yeah, thankfully won't be needing any winter coats for this weekend or for Halloween, as we're seeing temperatures reaching nearly 75 degrees tomorrow. But first, we're looking at what happened earlier today. This long line of rain showers finally moved our area, but we're still dealing with some nuisance clouds all through our area overnight tonight. And as you look at our temperatures, you also notice further out to the east, cooler temperatures where a lot of that rain is, but further west, notice we're here in Oswego, we're 54 degrees, Syracuse 58, and places further west nearing still 60 degrees. So we're gonna have a mild night, but we are expecting temperatures to cool down as we head into the weekend. But again, as you go throughout the rest of your week, those high temperatures are going to be reaching nearly 75 degrees, so another mild end to your week. More on my full forecast coming up after the break, but first, back to you guys at the desk.
Thanks, Evan. Syracuse Police Department Chief Joseph Cecile confirmed that there is still a heavy police presence on Halloween night in order to ensure the community's safety. This comes following growing concerns about an officer shortage. The newest class of graduation officers in Syracuse consisted of only 7 new recruits. This is a significant drop from several years ago. If the shortage gets worse, Chief Cecile says police will respond to priority calls, but lower priority calls will get less attention.
Two teenagers from Lewis County are facing criminal charges after crashing a stolen vehicle on October 6th. Lewis County Sheriff's deputies responded to a motor vehicle crash on Long Pond Road. When the vehicle was found unoccupied, the investigation revealed that the truck had been stolen. The suspects, who are both just 16 years old, are currently unnamed due to their age.
Workers from a milk bone plant in Buffalo are currently on strike as they ask for a fair contract. The strike began yesterday following reports from the BCTGM of unfair labor prices. BCTGM is the union which represents workers in the baking, tobacco, and grain milling industries. The union is calling for lower healthcare costs, better wages, and more respect for both law and employees. Still ahead tonight, a Canadian teenager charged with making threats to a New York school district.
Plus, a final pitch from Kamala Harris in D.C. That and more after the break.
Say, President Stanley, whenever there's bad weather, who would you turn to?
I'd turn to Storm Team 10.
No,
right
but you've
here.
got to say it like this. Storm Team 10. Say it with me. Storm Team 10.
Roll it.
Jill
Should we
told me it
tell
was
him?
Kitty from Glee. Yeah, what is it?
Al Roker.
Welcome back to WTOP. I'm Storm Team Meteorologist Evan Bedron. And like I said before the break, we had a wall of showers move through our area earlier today. We're left with a lot of leftover winds across much of central New York. Further near the lakeshore, you can see more heavier winds or maybe some wind gusts. But as you go further inland, you notice not a lot of wind just north of Syracuse, south of Fulton. And that's going to be the story as we go out tonight. The winds are going to be mainly near the lake shore, but further inland, you're going to notice a calm, cool night. And so let's take you through our future cast. Again, those are those showers moving further and further to the east. But again, we're left with a lot of those nuisance clouds. There's a lot of moisture left on the ground. It's going to keep us stacked to some cloud cover as we go throughout the morning into tomorrow around noontime. But as you notice, around 2 p.m., a lot of the cloud cover starts to break up. You can see some breaks in the clouds, allowing some sunshine to shine through. But as you go throughout the rest of your day, clouds will begin to start moving back into the area. And so let's look at what's going on tonight. Tonight, 53 degrees is your low, partly cloudy. Again, winds out of the south around 9 miles per hour. And this is going to be mainly near the lake shores, areas further inland. Not expecting a lot of winds. And if you're looking to go outside tomorrow, you're expecting temperatures to near 75 degrees. Tomorrow will be the best day to do it because as you go throughout your week, notice those temperatures are going to start going slowly down as you near Saturday. But for Wednesday and Thursday, look at that, 21 degrees above average both those days. So Halloween is going to be very mild. But as you go towards the weekend, again, temperatures are going to start to go down to below average amounts. So as you head out the door to go to those porches to get some candy, 67 degrees is going to be your low temperature around that time of night. So it's going to be very mild. So you don't have to worry about bringing any jackets out with you. But we are expecting some late rain as the night progresses into around midnight. And so let's look at your 7-day forecast. Wednesday, mostly sunny, high of 75. Again, Wednesday and Thursday, probably going to be the same story. 75 degrees as both those highs, but as you notice, those lows start to dip down into the low to mid 30s as we head into the weekend. So if you're making any weekend plans, you may want to stay indoors during those late hours in the night. Saturday, mostly sunny, clouds start increasing again as we go towards Sunday. And as you notice, Monday and Tuesday, rain showers return to our area, but those temperatures start to rebound to the mid 60s as those temperatures, again, are starting to stay mild as we begin November. That is all for my forecast. Now back to you guys at the desk.
A 14-year-old Canadian teen has been charged for sending threats to a New York school. On Monday, the 14-year-old was charged with public mischief, uttering threats, fraudulent use of a computer, and indecent communications and mischief. The teen was sending in threats to schools in Albany and also responsible for sending in many other threats to different schools and the suicide hotline. The FBI and local police have been looking for the teenager since September, ending the search this week.
Over 700,000 voters participated in the first weekend of early voting in New York State. Over 250,000 of those votes came from New York City, with the remaining 447,000 from other parts of the state. Upstate counties including Erie, Monroe, and Onondaga saw around 33 and 19,000 votes cast respectively. The first weekend numbers are higher than the same numbers of the 2020 presidential election. A shelter-in-place order was issued for Atlanta due to an alleged active shooter at the Four Seasons Hotel. Atlanta police apprehended a suspect a little under 2 hours after the order was issued. Although the suspect was taken into custody and the shelter-in-place order was lifted, the area and its surrounding streets will remain temporarily closed.
Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are trying to reach as many voters as possible 1 week from Election Day.
Today, Harris delivered the final major address for her campaign this evening at the Ellipse, a park just outside the South Lawn of the White House where Trump rallied his supporters ahead of January 6, 2021's Capitol riot. Washington correspondent Julia Benbrook has a review of the Vice President's remarks.
Vice President Kamala Harris is using this location to remind voters of what happened here 4 years ago, as she makes the case that her opponent is unfit to serve another term. Now, her team is hoping to use this venue to convey a sense of gravity about the choice before voters while she makes her final pitch. Vice President Kamala Harris will deliver closing remarks at the Ellipse, a park that's within view of the White House. It's also where former President Donald Trump rallied his supporters on January 6, 2021. Following those remarks, there was a violent riot at the Capitol.
I do believe that Donald Trump is unstable, increasingly unstable, and unfit to serve.
Harris's advisors say the speech will not exclusively focus on the events that unfolded at the site nearly 4 years ago. She's also expected to discuss the top issues, including the economy, as she makes her final pitch to voters.
Policies that are about home ownership, lifting up our small businesses, lifting up families with children, and lifting up the discourse in a way that it is not about trashing people all the time.
Trump delivered a preemptive response from Mar-a-Lago this afternoon, unleashing a series of familiar attacks against Harris and slamming her immigration policy.
I'm running on a plan to save America. We're going to save America. We have no choice. It's the greatest there is. We love it, and we're going to save it. We have no choice.
Trump also mentioned his rally at Madison Square Garden over the weekend that featured several controversial comments from speakers, including a comedian who called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. The former president referred to the event as a, quote, love fest. Now, in addition to drawing contrast with Trump's 2021 rally that took place here, Harris is also expected to draw contrast with that controversial weekend rally. While that was not the original intent of this address, her team believes it will serve as a timely rebuttal. Reporting in Washington, I'm Julia Benbrook.
The Harris rally in Washington took place in front of over 50,000 voters today. As the election season comes to a close, the race to the polls is more pressing for candidates now than ever.
A man who brutally attacked Paul Pelosi 2 years ago was given a life sentence without the possibility of parole. 42-year-old David DePaul was given a sentence on state charges after he broke into the house of former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi in the middle of the night. Paul Pelosi was the only resident in the house, and DePaul attacked him with a hammer until Pelosi was able to call 911. DePaul was previously sentenced to 30 years in prison in federal court, and it is unclear on where he will serve his sentence. When WTOP-10 Nightly News continues, learn more about rules for passengers who fall victim to flight delays and cancellations.
And the effects of election-related emotions on sleep. All that and more right after the break.
And it could be your last chance to see one occur for 2 decades, as the next time one will be visible over the continental U.S.
He's May 84. Yarrow told police in the hospital that he had pressed the doorbell and waited.
They mix with oxygen and nitrogen and become briefly
What's going on?
Yeah, dude, we go on at like 11:30. It's like
No.
What do you mean no?
It's 10:30.
10:30?
Matt, it's 10:30.
What do you mean it's 10:30? Hey, don't touch that. That's my ladder.
Hey, man.
Whoa.
You know this book was already discounted 10%?
Wow.
Wow.
Get closer with that one. Matthew,
Look at that.
Can we go back inside? I want to sleep in the studio again.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Welcome back to WTOP-10 Nightly News. In consumer news, new rules about refunds for canceled or delayed flights are now being fully implemented. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg says that the automatic rules started being enforced yesterday. During flight cancellations, multi-hour delays, or any situation where the airline is at fault for a delay, passengers who do not rebook a flight will get a full cash refund within 20 days. Other implemented rules include a luggage refund if bags are not received by a certain time, and a service refund if things like seat selection and Wi-Fi are not available.
Foot traffic at McDonald's nationwide have rapidly decreased in the past week, likely due to concerns about the recent E. coli outbreak in the company's Quarter Pounders. Foot Traffic Tracker is reporting a 10% decrease in visits to nationwide McDonald's, with a staggering 33% drop in Colorado, which was the epicenter of the outbreak. McDonald's is saying that all contaminated products have been axed from the supply chain and restaurants, and the Colorado Department of Agriculture says the Quarter Pounder beef patties have tested negative for all E. coli.
With the election just 1 week away, voters are experiencing a wide range of sometimes quite extreme emotions, which can significantly impact sleep in a phenomenon called electosomia. Mandy Gather has more on how to control the symptoms.
If this election is causing you to lose sleep, you're not alone.
We call it electsomnia, so it's insomnia linked with the election season.
Sleep specialist Michelle Drerup with Cleveland Clinic says in her clinical practice, she's seeing more people being triggered with election-related sleep issues. She says the election can worsen symptoms in those who already struggle with insomnia and can also trigger sleep issues in those who don't have chronic sleep problems.
The person has difficulty falling asleep and they may be kind of thinking about the election or potentially what the future might look like, waking up in the middle of the night and struggling to fall back asleep, or even just poor sleep quality.
Drerup says to prioritize sleep before you even go to bed by limiting social media and election news exposure, which can worsen stress and add to sleep difficulties. Also, be aware of your negative thoughts and challenge them.
Just try to stay in the moment of where things are at right now.
Finally, Drerup says not to focus on the election what ifs, instead zone in on things you can manage.
We have survived many elections. We'll get through this, right? It's only 4 years, trying to figure out what I do have the ability to control. I'm going to go out and vote. I'm trying to, do things to support others to vote. So thinking about what I can do versus a lot of what's out of my control.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Drerup also says that general sleep habits, including regular exercise, avoiding late naps, alcohol, and late caffeine intake. Job openings dropped to pre-pandemic levels in the month of September in a sign of a slowing hiring market. New data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics show around 7.4 million unfilled jobs at the end of September. The number surprised economicists who expected the figure to come in at 7.9 million. Instead, the number comes in about 400 below the figure for August. Now up in sports, James Fitzpatrick.
James, can you give us an update on our beloved New York football teams?
Absolutely, Nazir. New York football has been nothing but a disappointment this season. With expectations high, the Jets have crumbled. Looking for their first playoff appearance since 2010, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets find themselves further and further away from that goal every week. After a Week 8 loss to the Patriots, the Jets are sitting at 2-6 on the season, with a lot of ground to make up to salvage their season. Now they'll try to salvage their season Thursday night against Houston. As for the Giants, expectations were also not as high, but they were still not doing much better. The Giants also are sitting at 2-6 on the season following a Monday night loss to the Steelers. Daniel Jones and the G-Men will try to salvage their season Sunday against the Commanders. While it isn't impossible, it's most likely we'll see another year without the Jets and Giants in the playoffs. Luke Belanger is on deck to give us the latest in Lakers sports after the break.
What's going on?
Yeah, we go on at like 11:30. It's like
No.
What do you mean no?
It's 10:30.
10:30?
Yeah, it's 10:30.
What do you mean it's 10:30?
Hey, don't touch that. That's my ladder.
Hey, man.
Whoa.
You know this book was already discounted 10%?
Wow. Get a closer for that one.
Matthew,
Look at that.
can we go back inside? I want to sleep in the studio again.
Free. La 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 la. La 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 la. Freeze.
We'll deep dive into our feelings in our Real Talk segment. Stay tuned because it's about to get real.
Good evening. My name is Luke Belanger. I'm your sports reporter for tonight. Let's get right into it. The men's soccer team had their final home game this past Saturday against New Paltz in a win exactly to plan. The Lakers had a 2-0 shutout with goals coming from sophomore Tajay Ellis and senior Chris Smith. Playoffs start for Oswego as they travel downstate to Cortland, New York to face off against the third-place Red Dragons on Saturday. Game time is 11 a.m. The women's hockey team capped off their preseason expedition series against the U22 London Devilites from London, Ontario. Despite a great effort, the women fell short with a score of 2-3. They say preseason doesn't matter, and I think everyone here in Oswego, New York can second that, as the ladies are due for a big, efficient season. Their skates hit the ice right here at home against William Smith under the Friday Night Lights on November 1st. Puck drop is scheduled for 7 p.m. Let's move down south to Orlando, Florida for some NBA news. Paolo Banchero had his first career 50-point game against the Indiana Pacers last night, and he was the first Magic player to drop 50 since 2004. Paolo has, for some reason, been out of the spotlight since he came into the league, despite averaging 20 points per game every year he's played. Hasn't shot lower than 42% from the field. I mean, this guy's good, but the media just hasn't covered him too much. The Magic are 3-1, and their best guy is Banchero. It's been that way for 3 years, and it's time for Paolo to get the recognition he deserves. On Sunday, Tua Tagovailoa returned to the turf to face off against Kyler Murray and a hungry Cardinals team. Tua has been sidelined since week 2 after suffering his third head injury in his career. There's been a lot of talk on whether Tua should play or should he take a year or two off or even retire. Personally, Tagovailoa doesn't help the Dolphins that much to where it's worth to risk his long-term health. They still lost to the Cardinals on Sunday, and the running backs carried most of the load for Miami. They have a divisional game this week against the scorching hot Bills, and that would definitely give us some more on Tua's status. We actually are going to stay in Florida because it's Kirk Cousins stepping into the Pirate ship to the face-off against Baker Mayfield and company. First drive, Kyle Pitts. It's wasting no time on National Tight Ends Day, and he goes for 36 yards for the score. It's his first touchdown since week 1. Baker says 2 can play that game. I'll find my tight end, K. Dotton, and tie things up 7-7. We're right back to the Bucs offense, and Baker will check this one to Rachaad White, and he will go up the sideline, outrun Jesse Bates, and get in for 6. A little trash talk at the end. He's probably saying, Jesse Bates, you're too slow. Cousins down 7 midway through the second, looking to square things back up, and he does just that. He finds number 8. Again, it's Kyle Pitts. Second end zone trip of the day for Pitts. We are knotted at 14. He dropped the ball right as he went in the end zone. I don't get why people do that, but ultimately it's called a touchdown. Cousins right before the half, and it's Mooney. Darnell Mooney to take the lead before the locker room. Second half, both teams will exchange touchdowns. Cousins walks into Tampa and throws Baker Mayfield off the ship in an NFC South showdown 31-26. The Falcons are 5-2. The Bucs are 4-4. The Falcons are red hot. They will look to continue this against Dallas on Sunday. Kickoff for that game is 1 p.m.
So, for weather, what can we expect?
We can expect really beautiful weather the next 2 days as we go into the weekend, but unfortunately, we are expecting temperatures to get cold again as more rain returns to our area as we go into next week.
Well, that's our report for tonight.
Be sure to stay tuned for Entertainment Breach.
Thank you for watching.
Have a great night, everyone.
Class of 76, yes, way back in 76. Back when the Earth was cooling. You're watching WTOP.
The Candlelight Show with Chloe and Anna. Like licorice, Twizzlers, absolutely nasty. The thought of turkey is just nauseating.
I think you're wrong, is what I think.
You think I'm wrong a lot of time.
I do think you're wrong a lot.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Ease down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
I guess I have really been looking for love in this dating app. Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.